and go. A special hello goes out to Director of Media for the Boston Bruins alumni, Mr. Mark Moran. Nice to see you, Marky.
Welcome to the Pro Hockey Alumni Podcast, the voice of hockey legends. This is the classic hockey show for classic hockey fans. We celebrate the history of the game with stories told by the select few who actually lived it. Get ready for an all-access pass to the heart of the hockey universe.
Larry Lund on the draw against Mats Lind. Now Lind a little over-anxious. They drop the puck. Larry Hale shoots. He scores! Larry Hale! Larry Hale scores! Larry Hale scores! They're coming off the bench. They're coming off the bench. And who would have thought Larry Hale? Larry Hale gets his first goal. And they all come off the bench. Bill Deneen is laughing over at the Aeros bench. 2 seconds left in the hockey game. And this place is in a bedlam. Larry Hale scores. The Aeros are going to win it 5-4, and the Jets are dejected. Oh, what a game by the Aeros. Bill Deneen past Larry Hale. The Bossier jumps on top of him. Who would have thought Larry Hale? Here's the announcement. His first of the year. What a time to get it. What a time to get it. They're standing and cheering. I've never seen a more exciting hockey game.
Episode 52 of the Pro Hockey Alumni Podcast is a tribute to former Philadelphia Flyers and Houston Aeros defenseman Larry Stoney Hale, who passed away of natural causes in his native British Columbia on September 27, 2019, at the age of 77. Hale was born on October 9, 1941 in Summerland, British Columbia. After a long stint with the Seattle Totems of the Old Western Hockey League, he signed with the Philadelphia Flyers in 1968. Hale played 196 regular season games for the Flyers between 1968-69 and 1971-72. He later played 6 seasons in the WHA with Gordie Howe and the Houston Aeros, where he was a solid force in the blue line, helping the Aeros to a pair of AVCO Cup Championships in 1974 and 1975. In this episode, we'll hear from 2 of Larry's Houston Aeros teammates, Terry Ruskowski and Morris Lukowich, who have fond memories of Larry as a player and a teammate. We're back with one of our all-time favorite players, previous show guest and perennial captain Terry Ruskowski, and a longtime teammate of Larry Hale. Larry, of course, played with the Aeros through the duration of the franchise, and Terry played all but once. So they were teammates for quite some time. And first, of course, thanks, Terry, for sharing your thoughts on Larry. And I was curious if you could share maybe your reflections on Larry, not only as a player, but as a person. What type of guy was he?
He was a fun-loving guy. He was one of those guys that if his body held up, he could play till he's 105. Like he just, nothing bothered him. He just went out and played. And the guy was not flashy. He didn't have great speed. But I tell you what, the goalies that we have should have paid him half their salary because he blocked as many shots as the goalies made saves on. I've never seen a guy block as many shots and not hurt him. And he's incredible, absolutely incredible. I remember the one time he scored an overtime goal, or it was an overtime goal or a goal that was just in the last couple of minutes to win a hockey game against Winnipeg.
Oh yeah.
And of course Larry Lund, he's probably the best face-off man I've ever seen. He won the draw back to Stoney, and I don't know why Stoney was on the ice. But Stoney took a slap shot from the blue line, and we could have counted 1, 2, 3. And the goalie, I think, misplayed it because it was like a knuckleball, and he scored the goal. And it just went over the goal line to score. Mm-hmm. We all told him he didn't have enough volume or velocity to go to the net, just enough to go over the line. But he was just the type of guy that when the game was on the line, Stoney was out because he'd either block a shot or make a really intelligent play to get the puck out of our zone or get the puck to a guy that should be getting the puck.
You know, I was talking with Joe Watson a little bit from the days of the Flyers. He was talking about Larry B. He was you talked about him being fun-loving. Joe said he was just an interesting guy. He never knew quite what was going to come out of his mouth. How did you remember Larry as far as like off the ice in the dressing room, etc.?
Like, he didn't say much when he was in the dressing room, like between games. He was quiet that way. But like at parties, he was kind of life of the parties. What he did in different parties was just kind of funny. You know, he'd always come up with something that we'd all laugh at or we talked about for days after. He was that kind of guy. Then he'd like chuckle. You know, after he did, he kind of chuckled to himself and what he did. It was kind of crazy, and he was just a fun-loving guy. But he's right. You never knew what Stoney was going to do. Never knew it. He was kind of different, but fun-loving different.
You and I talked about last time we talked about the camaraderie on that team. It was for you coming in, guys like Larry, John Shello, Paul Popeel, Murray Hall, Larry Lund, Frank Hughes. You could go on and on.
Yeah,
you talk a little bit about that group of guys. A lot of them from the Western Hockey League, grizzled veterans, and what type of, including Larry, of course, and what type of group was that to jump into as a rookie?
Well, you're exactly right when you said family. It was a family, and we talked about this before. And I give Foxy, Bill Dineen, so much credit because he got the guys that he knew that could play the game, that were team guys, that weren't individuals, but team guys that could play in a team that could be very successful. And he did that. And as he went on, he got maybe the older guys that weren't quite good enough. He replaced them with a younger guy, and he just kept on. But he kept the core guys together because as the young guys got a little bit older, they would take the philosophy of the older guys and keep it going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I really have to admire that. And, you know, I told you before, and it was the first time I've ever had this situation to me when they called Rich Preston, myself, and Don Larwey in the office, Bill Dineen did, and said, you're not going to get much ice time, but I want you to learn, I want you to listen, and I want you to play hard when you do get on the ice, but I want you to watch and learn because you're our future. And he was absolutely right. And didn't play very much, but when we played hard and participated as much as we can to win the hockey games. But he was just a smart man. But he was very family-oriented and hockey-wise. We're a total team. We may have not been the best players, but we were the best team. Mm-hmm. And Stoney was just like that. I remember when we were taking, I think, a 1 or 2 road trip. When you're in Houston, nothing was a short trip.
Oh, yeah.
So we were taking a trip for, 1 or 2, 3 days or whatever, playing on the road for a couple of games. And Stoney, we called Larry Hale Stoney. And he used to play practical jokes on everybody a lot of times. So I was going to throw a practical joke too. And there was kind of a display at the airport and was surrounded by a gate, a fence or sort of fence. So I grabbed his bag without knowing it and I threw it on top of the display. And I thought he knew it where I threw it because now he thought, how am I going to get it? Kind of those things. But he didn't know. He didn't realize that. I didn't realize he didn't know. So he gets on the plane and he goes, Rusko. I said, yeah. So where's my bag? I said, what? You didn't get your bag? He said, no. I saw you took it, but I said, Stoney, I threw it up on that display. I thought you knew when you were trying to get it. He said, nope. I did not. So I had to call it. Get off the plane. I had to call the airport and say, please save the bag that's up there. We'll pick it up on the way back. But Stoney, it didn't really bother him. Like he stayed in the same clothes for 4 days. It wasn't a big factor for him. It was just kind of a funny joke and whatever. And he was that guy. Like I said, he could play forever if his body held up. It just, nothing seemed to bother him because he knew his limitations, he knew his ability, and he played to it all the time. And another situation, they got a young guy in there, Scott Campbell, and he was a high draft choice, a good hockey player, young, good hockey player. So who did Foxy play him with? Because he was a little offensive-minded, with Stoney. Mm-hmm. And him and Stoney played together, and they played very well because they complemented each other. One stayed home, and one was up the ice. One stayed home. It was a great situation, and I know that And I talked to Scotty before, and Scotty said that was the best thing that ever happened for him, because I could always rely on Stoney doing the thing that if I did screwed up, he was always there to back me up and to take the puck and do a proper thing and make a positive play out of it. Incredible. He was just a really good guy, not a superstar, funny, good-looking guy, and you never knew what to expect from Stoney. And that's the part that made him kind of unique. Just never knew what he could do. We went to a party. It was a party. I don't know if I should tell this one or not.
If you don't, Morris Lukowich will, so you might as well.
Okay, I'll tell it. We were at a Halloween party. One of our owners, it was whole heavy. It's a party, and I'll just tell you what. There's more than one part, but I'll tell you the one part that that's so funny. Like, all the wives were like together, and they were drinking and all that outside the patio and having a couple cocktails and enjoying themselves at the party. And Stoney got into the. He was an Irishman, and or Scotsman. He was a Scotsman. And he was doing the little fling, with his feet and this and that. And he did a twirl around, and he didn't have any underwear on. And all the wives kind of gasped. And after he realized what was happening, of course, they laughed. He laughed at it. Of course, he just took off and started laughing. He got it too. But that was Stoney. Like, everybody knew that was Stoney. It was funny. It was just really funny. Everybody else would probably, I can't believe that happened. But no, it's Stoney. Let's laugh. It's okay.
Well, that's great that we can look back. Obviously, brought a lot of enjoyment to you guys. And, of course, as you mentioned numerous times, that whole team, to me, looking at it from a distance and certainly talking to players subsequently had that strong family bond, starting with building in and running right through the team. Right. And, of course, Larry Hale, a big part of that. He was always, as a fan, he was the type of guy you could overlook. But as a teammate, you'd really appreciate him. And now,
absolutely,
I think
you are head right on the nose. It's exactly right. You probably would notice him if you were just a first timer, and if you were a fan and didn't notice him a whole lot. But you looked at the game sheet and you said, "Oh man, he blocked so many shots, and he's a +2 or +3 every game because of his defensive positioning." You nail it. You nail it right on the head, my friend.
Well, again, Terry, we appreciate your time, and I know the family does as well, as they'll be listening to this as well. So, Terry, again, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts on Larry Hale. And
it's awesome. It's awesome. Before you leave, you know what's incredible, that we as players, we've been texting each other all morning about the situation and about what he meant to us, and that's a tribute to him, because he was a team guy and he meant a lot to us.
Absolutely. And it's a lot coming from you as well. So, Terry, thanks so much, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for including me.
In 1976, rookie Morris Lukowich joined the Houston Aeros, and the veteran Larry Hale was assigned to be his mentor. Luke appreciated Larry's steady on-ice play and treasured the friendship they developed off the ice.
Well, Larry was... First of all, he was a stay-at-home defensive defenseman who blocked shots, killed penalties. He'd get the puck up to the forwards like myself, and we'd kick off with it and get rolling. He had a slap shot that wouldn't break a pane of glass. And yet he could move the puck in the offensive zone sometimes to the open man to create scoring opportunities. Off the ice, he was somewhat of a philosopher, and I really loved hanging around with him. We became tennis playing buddies, and as a rookie, I guess we're looking for somebody to hang out with, and so he and I spent quite a bit of time on the tennis court, and somehow he'd always bring it back to hockey. He'd relate different things back to hockey. So, off the ice, just a very good teammate.
In a little-known WHA tale, Morris reveals the circumstances of Larry Hale's final shift as a big league hockey player.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much a shift; it was a short skate, and of about 10 to 15 feet. And what happened was, because we had some good young defensemen come in, like Scott Campbell and John Hughes, that Larry wasn't getting very much ice time at all, like almost none. And there was one time where Bill actually called to go kill a penalty, and he went out and killed the penalty, and he actually didn't have his skates done up. But he blocked a whole bunch of shots, and remember he was out there with Rich Preston and I think John Shella, and they were 2 men short, and ended up they killed this penalty, and he actually didn't even have his skates done. So I guess it went in. So there was this one time where then again he wasn't playing at all, sitting at the end of the bench, and which I think he really disliked. And Coach Bill Deneen, his nickname was Foxy. He said, and Larry Hale's nickname was Stoney. He said, "Stoney, get out there and kill this penalty." And Stoney didn't move. And then he said, "Stoney, come on, get out there." And Larry yelled back. He said, "Foxy," he said, "I don't even have my skates done." And it really went quiet. I remember Terry Ruskowski was sitting on my right, and we were kind of like, wow. It went quiet for about 10 seconds, and then Coach Bill Deneen said, "Well, if you don't even have your skates done up, then maybe you shouldn't be on the bench." And it went really quiet again for about 10 seconds. And then Larry said, "Foxy, you know what, you're right." Then he got up and he climbed over the boards, and he went, just skated about 15 feet to the left, and there was a door that could be opened up where we left the ice back to the dressing room, and he tapped on the door, and they opened up the door, and he skated through, and that was the last time on the ice as a professional. So he actually retired during a game. And he's the only teammate that I can remember that actually was finished during a game. We came into the dressing room after the game, and there was his jersey hung up nicely in his stall, and that was the last time I ever saw him that year.
Luke saw Larry Hale one more time later in life, and it gave him an opportunity to thank the man who had made such an impact on his early career development.
I only saw Larry one time after that, and it was in Penticton, and he and Larry Lund, Larry Lund had started the Okanagan Hockey School, and then Larry Hale had bought in for a few years, and so we were playing a midsummer hockey game, and I got invited down to do a little bit of coaching and then also playing the game, and so I got to see him, and we're on the ice again for a little bit, and really he hadn't changed. He was still somewhat philosophical and smiling, and really he was more interested in me than he was in himself. Like, he just was really good at asking questions. He was very interested in finding out what was going on, and so I'm really glad that I got to see him again. I remember I told him thanks for all the good work he had done with me, and that's the last time I ever saw him. Well, you're welcome. And you know, one thing about Larry Hale is, and I mentioned this to Larry Lund, is I'm unable to ever remember being upset with him. He always, when he showed up, even though he wasn't the most skilled guy, he always gave 100%. And he stuck his nose in there, and he did what he did to get the puck up to the forwards. And he went down and he blocked shots, and he did what he could to tie guys up in front of the net. And, like, he did what he could to get the job done. And he showed up, and when he was playing, like, he was engaged. And you know, and there's certain times in life, like I have this saying, is that in life we sometimes take a look. You know, if we were in a foxhole in a battle, who would we want on our side? Who would we want on our right side? Who would we want on our left side? Just like the Spartans. And Larry Hale is a man that I know I could trust him to be on one of those sides because he just simply get the job done. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just the way I'd like to finish this.
Thank you for listening to this tribute to Larry Hale. Larry is remembered as a solid pro and excellent teammate with a unique and entertaining personality. He will be missed. Rest in peace, Larry Hale.